Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope you all can hear me. If you can hear me, just drop in a message in the chat. That would be great. If you all have any issues hearing me, please drop me a message before we start off. Thank you. All right, I got a feedback saying my voice is echoing. Is my voice echoing, or is there a lot of background noise? I think I've just adjusted the microphone as well. Should be fine now. I think it's just echoing for one of you all. What I would recommend is if you all can log out and log back in, I think that would help. Probably it's the device, or probably if you can use a different device, also would be great because I think everyone else can hear me clearly. We'll just start this session in the next 2 to 3 minutes. We still have a lot of people joining in. We'll just give it another 2 minutes and I will start off this session for you. Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome once again. Thank you for taking time out to attend this session. I hope this session is going to be informative for you all, and I hope you get to learn new things. Before we start off, I would just send across a poll so that I understand what level of technical analysis you would understand. Either ways, I'm going to keep it very, very simplistic for you all to understand. But however, I would like to know the level of technical analysis that you already understand. And if you're a very new beginner, do not worry. If you're very advanced as well, I'm sure there's a lot that you'll be getting out of this session. So I hope you enjoy the session as well. Let me just put on the polls. I am going to be publishing it. Will take about next 1 or 2 minutes just to answer the polls. Basically, you just need to click on beginner, or if you're intermediate, or if you're an advanced technical trader. So I know who I'm catering to as well while I'm speaking today. I have put the poll on. I think you all should be able to see it on your system. You all can, will take the next 2 3 minutes just to answer. Kavita, I hope you're still there, and I hope my voice is not echoing anymore for you, because I've gotten a feedback that everyone else can hear me clearly. I think the echo might be the device or the connection. If it's still echoing, I am really sorry. From my end, I've just readjusted my microphone. The echo most probably is because of either the connection or the device, I'm guessing. I hope it is not echoing for you anymore. Coming to, all right, I'm going to end the poll in the next 5 seconds. All right. Thank you. So majority of us who is attending today are at the beginner level, so which is good. I will be starting off with keeping it very simple for each one of us to understand what we're going to be talking about today. So let's go ahead and start off. Before we start off, I would like to reintroduce myself. My name is Vivian. I'm head financial consultant at Century. I specifically specialize in technical analysis, and hence I'm taking this session for you all today. Let's start off with what we're going to be looking at today. The main subject is the Fibonacci sequence, and before we get into the Fibonacci sequence, I would like to set some foundation so that it becomes more easier for you to understand once we get into Fibonacci sequence. Right. I would also like to encourage by the end of the session, if you like the webinar that you attended today, and if it was informative and if it was easy for you to understand, most importantly, and has added more value to the learning that you already have, please do not forget to leave your review on Google for us. And you can also type in all your questions on the chat. I will try and answer as many as possible for the day. If we cannot, we will, or you can always get in touch with us, and we will try and get back to you with all the questions that you might have for us. So let's begin. So let's look at what technical analysis is. In simple words, technical analysis is nothing but looking at the past price movement on a chart. So let's say, for example, if a chart or if a price has been moving in a range, let's give the range. Let's say a stock is trading at $100, and the high it makes is 150, and maybe over a period of time, let's say over a period of 5 years, you see that the particular stock trades only between 100 and 150. So every time it comes down towards 100, it goes back up towards 150. Every time it goes towards 150, it starts dropping back down towards 100 again. And this has been consistently happening over the last 5 years. Now, there is a pattern that you will identify. This is known as the technical analysis. Now, when you consider technical analysis, you discount all fundamental news. I'm not saying fundamentals are not important. Fundamentals are equivalently important as much as technicals are, but people who do trades or who invest using technical analysis often discount fundamentals, because most of the time a technical indicator might giving you a signal opposite to what currently is happening. I will give you a couple of examples so that it's more easier for you to understand what I mean by it. But in other words, technical analysis is a trading discipline employed to evaluate investments and identify trading opportunities, that is, the entries and exits, by analyzing statistical trends. So, the example that I gave you on a stock between 100 and 150, that is the statistical trends that has happened in that example, gathered from trading activities such as the price movement. So, this basically, to keep it very simple, is what technical analysis is. Now, moving forward, while I'm going to be showing you all the main thing everyone would like to know while investing is, one, what should you invest in? Second, once you identify what you want to invest in, the second question would be is, what is the best time to enter? Is there a specific time or to enter? Is there a specific price that you need to wait to enter? And apart from entering, we should also know when to exit. Now, exits can be both profitable as well as loss, depending on the strategy that or the objective that you have for your own account. Now, most of the times when you identify an entry, you should always have a plan of exit so that your logic on the entry for the trade does not keep changing based on emotions. Every trade that you take has to have a good fundamental technical analysis backed up before you take any kind of investment or a trade. And once that logic has been taken into consideration and you enter, you it is best for us to stick to that entry price as well as the exit price that you had planned. I will again show all of this when we are looking at the prices on the live charts. Now, average true range is quite important. I know today's session is going to be on Fibonacci, but before we go to Fibonacci, I just wanted to add one more technical analysis or technical tool that will help us. That is average true range. Again, to make it very simple for you to understand average true range, it is nothing but it's also known as an ATR. Basically, what an ATR does is it shows you based on again previous historical data that we have on a particular stock or a commodity or any trading instrument. It will tell you how many dollars can it move in a given time frame. For example, let's look at this particular chart over here. I'm sorry, the top part is cut off. This is SPX 500, but it's okay. We do not need to worry about what the instrument is for now. Let's understand what ATR is. Now, this is your chart for some of you who might be very, very new to charting or reading the charts. Do not worry about how the chart looks. Basically, each of these bars represent the price movement that has happened on a monthly time frame. We'll not get into that right now. What we need to understand is where has the price moved all the way from 1995 to where is it trading until recent. This is not today's chart, so this is still a recent chart. The prices have moved up further, but you can see based on the historical moment that the price has come up all the way from 1000 levels to 4200 levels. Now, when I'm talking about 4200 levels, let's say you are an investor who wants to invest in this particular instrument. This instrument is SPX 500, the top 500 companies put into one index. So instead of buying all the 500 companies individually, you can buy the index directly so that you have a portion of your investment invested in all the 500 companies listed on the US stock exchange. Now, let's say as an investor, you would like to invest into S&P 500 and you're looking at a 1 year time frame. So that is 12-month time frame. Since I'm looking at a monthly time frame, my ATR, the white line that you see at the bottom is the ATR. How is ATR calculated? ATR is always calculated or based on the historical price movement, meaning the volatility. How many dollars has it on an average move? Let's say if I take an ATR for the last 21 days, it will show me in the last 21 days how many dollars on an average can S&P 500 move. So as per this chart, it can move about $250 in a given month. Now, please make note that $250 is not giving you the direction of the trade. It is only telling you how many dollars can S&P 500 or SPX 500 move in a given month. So as per this, it can move about $250. It is not limited to $250. It can increase or probably it can move lesser than $250. But we know for based on the recent historical data, it can move about $250. Now let's go to the next chart. There's the same S&P 500 chart on a weekly time frame. Same chart on a weekly time frame. So each of these candlesticks represents the weekly movement. Now you'll see on a weekly time frame, it moves roughly around $124 only. So if you're looking at trading, taking a investment or a trade on S&P 500 for the next 2 weeks, or let's say just for next 1 week, the average expected move in your favor or against you would be around $124. And that is what ATR helps us identify. Now, this is S&P 500, same chart, but on a daily time frame. Now, on a daily time frame, you can see the movement is much more lower. In a single day, it can move about $50. And it goes on. You can go into a smaller time frame, a 30-minute time frame. SPX can move only for $4. So let's say if you are a short-term trader or a very short-term trader who wants to take advantage of today's move only and come out of it, the average move that you can expect every 30 minutes for it to happen is about $5. Again, not limited to $5. There has been places where it has moved up to even $12. So it all depends on the average of the last couple of days. You can choose the date last 21. In this case, it's not last 21 days. It is the last 21 candlesticks. So it calculates on the last 21 time frame to give you the average price. Do not worry if you have not got this completely. I will be showing this to you again when I do the live example, so it will be more clear for you. In short, what do we know about ATR? ATR helps us to identify how many dollars can a given instrument move in a given time frame. As simple as that. Now, coming to the most exciting part of today's webinar is the Fibonacci. I do not know if you all have heard about Fibonacci before, but most of you, I'm sure, have heard about Fibonacci. We need to understand how are these Fibonacci series formed and why is it so important. So, for those of us who are looking at Fibonacci for the very first time or after a very long time, it's very simple to understand. Fibonacci is nothing but a series of numbers. It starts with 0 and 1, and when you add your first number with the second number, you get your third number. So 0 plus 1, you get 1. 1 plus 2, you get 3. 2 plus 3, you get 5. 5 plus 8, you get 13. And this can go on to infinite. There is no limit as to how much where the numbers will stop, because it's just an infinite number, because you are just adding your first number with the second number to get your third number out. Now that we know how Fibonacci series or Fibonacci numbers have been formed, let's look at where does Fibonacci actually come into play. Now, fun fact over here is Fibonacci sequence, also known as the golden ratio. I will show you what the golden ratio is. Appears a lot in nature. In fact, it appears everywhere in nature. Patterns such as spirals of shell, curve of waves, sea heads, pine cones, and branches of trees can all be described using the mathematical sequence. I will give you a couple of examples where you can probably experiment at home itself. The fun fact that things as large as spirals of galaxies and as small as DNA molecules follow the golden ratio rule suggests that the Fibonacci sequence is one of the most fundamental characteristics of the universe. You must be wondering, what does this got to do with the finance or the charts that we're looking at? I will come to that. What we need to understand is if Fibonacci appears everywhere in life. When it says everywhere, let's look at where all it appears. Here you see a geometrical representation. I'm sorry, the image is quite small, but if you see, it starts with 1 plus 1 and you get a 2 square, 2 plus 3, you get this 4 square, 3 plus 5, you get 8, 8 plus 13, you get 21, 13 plus 21, you get 34. And you see how neatly it aligns itself as the numbers become bigger. Now, the geometrical representation over here is it forms a spiral once you connect the corners of each of these boxes. Now, let's look at a tree as an example. This is something that you can do at home if you have a garden. You can probably go and check out how the leaves are growing and how many leaves are there on each of these branches. Most likely, each branch should have the number of leaves with which ends with the Fibonacci number. So either it's going to be 3 or it can be 5 leaves. So depending on the size of the plant, it can be 8 leaves on a single branch. But the reason behind why these numbers is is it's amazing, because the way a tree is grows, if you look at it, the trunk of the tree is just one solid part of the tree, and then it divides itself by 2, which is again a Fibonacci number, and then from those 2 branches you see again 3 branches sprouting out. The reason these Fibonacci numbers need to appear in this is because the tree, while it is outside, every leaf needs to receive sunlight, and for it to receive sunlight on every part of the tree, the only way or the only mathematical sequence it can fall under would be the Fibonacci series, so that the tree gets sunlight on all of its leaves. This is a sunflower, again a geometrical representation of what you can see a spiral here. These spirals are incorporated within a sunflower. I'm sorry, we cannot zoom into the sunflower, but I think you get the idea while you can see the spirals forming. This is our entire universe, and you see the same spiral again, coming out in a Fibonacci series. So you see that if Fibonacci appears everywhere in life, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, so if you see that the Fibonacci is appearing everywhere uh, in life, that means Fibonacci should be applicable even on the financial market. So now, before we move ahead on how do we look at Fibonacci on the financial markets, let's do a small math experiment. If you'll have a mobile phone with you, or if you can pull out a calculator quickly, let's find out the ratio. Now, coming to how to implement this on the charts. Right now, we saw the Fibonacci series of numbers, but we understand that the market moves in percentages. The market is up by 10%, market is up by 20%, market is down by 2%, 3%. So everything that you see in the market, or every news that you hear, irrespective of the price movement, most of them talk about percentages, because your returns that you're going to get on your investment is also a percentage of profit, or a percentage of drawdown that you might see when you're holding a particular position. So everything is calculated in percentage, and so does Fibonacci series needs to be converted to percentage to apply it on our charts. Now, the key Fibonacci ratio of 61.8, also referred to as the golden ratio. Now, 61.8 is the golden ratio. Now, most of you must be wondering, from where did I get 61.8? Let's go back to the Fibonacci sequence. Sorry, the Fibonacci series of numbers. Now, if you take any of the number from the series, for example, let's take 233 and divide that by 377, multiply it by 100, you should get 61.8. So let's take another 2 minutes or 2 to 3 minutes just to calculate, and you can write your answers in the chat section. So let's start off with 233 divided by 377 multiplied by 100. Please give in your answers on the chat. I will wait for your answers before I move forward. I hope all of you are able to hear me. Yes, I'm getting a couple of answers coming in right now. 61.7, yes. Yes, 0.618. If you multiply that by 100, you get 61.8. Perfect, perfect. All right, let's just try one more number, probably a little bigger one. In fact, I won't give you the number. You can choose any of the numbers from the series. Try and take it about 233, because the smaller digits are going to give you a lot of decimal points. You can take a bigger number. Take the first number divided by the second number, multiplied by 100, you should get 61.8. For those of you who are finding the numbers, I can give you one as well. 177.11 divided by 28,657 into 100. You should be able to get 61.8. Yes, perfect. So I see a lot of people have got the numbers right. So now we know this how 61.8 appears. Now I'll give you a fun fact before we jump into the charts and see where the 61.8 comes on the charts. Let's say, for example, let's take my height. Let's say my height is 100 centimeters. Just for this example, if my entire height is 100%, if you take 61.8% of my entire height, it is pretty much from my waist to my leg at the bottom. Now that is one. Let's look at another example. Let's say if my length of my arm, let's say from my finger till my shoulder bone, if my length of my arm is 100% in length, where is the 61.8% of my entire arm come, and it will be my elbow. You can try this at home as well. You will see that your 61.8% of your length of your arm is pretty much at your joint on your elbow. Now, since you got the point, why is 61.8 coming to my elbow, or like when I take my entire height, it comes to my waist? Reason being, you see the significance over here. For us, for our support for our hand, our elbow is very crucial the way it is placed so that we can carry stuff easily. Same with our upper body and our lower body. For it to be balanced, there's a certain ratio that has been planned. Now, if this appears even in a human autonomy, sorry, you will also understand that it is very significant, and 61.8 plays a crucial role. So let's keep that in mind. Let's look at how does it look on a specific chart, right? So now think about my height. Keep my height as an analogy to understand how 61.8. This is Apple. I've taken a monthly time frame chart. You can see data all the way from 2014 till 2017. Now, when you use Fibonacci in on the charts, you should always identify a good rally. When I say a good rally, there has to be a good trend or a momentum that has gone well, and then eventually the trend has reversed. And that is when you apply your Fibonacci. So in this case, you will notice that the trend began somewhere here. It went up. After a couple of months, you identify that it started dropping down. So how do you measure this Fibonacci? Same as my height. Let's say this was the entire body. Okay. You identified the body. Now, when the market started dropping down, you understand this is the bottom, this is the head. Now, from the head, the market has started dropping. You initially you would not know. Probably a month or two, or even 3-4 months later, you identify that the top has kind of finished, and now there is a selling that is happening in the market. Now, why do we use Fibonacci over here? To identify if the markets change the trend from the uptrend to the downtrend. We want to know, I want to buy Apple, and I want to understand at what point should I buy Apple. Let's say the first time it dropped somewhere here. This looks attractive as well, considering the fact that the market has been moving up. Even the slightest dip over here is a very good level to buy. But then if I end up buying here and then the market continues dropping, I'm going to make a huge loss while it comes down, and I have to wait for a very long time for it to come back up. So instead of avoiding or jumping into it, what Fibonacci helps us is, once you find the leg and the head, you measure top to bottom or bottom to top to identify where, if this is 100% move, where does the 61.8 come? Where does the elbow for this entire arm come? Or where does the hip of this entire body come down to? So coming back to my analogy over there. So if you notice, I'm sorry, the numbers are kind of blurred out, I think, on the chart, but I will show you this on the live chart also. You see, it came down exactly to this specific level before it started bouncing back up. And this level happens to be 61.8. Now, I know this, if this is that easy, that means every time you see a market drop, it should come till 61.8, you buy it and you will make a lot of money. That is not always the case. There are cases where it can go below 61.8. But I will tell you the advantages of waiting for 61.8, and the advantage of when you enter at 61.8, and if it goes against you. Also, although it goes against you, you will still have another advantage over there. So which I'll be showing you on the live chart. Now moving on to Apple. Earlier we looked at 2015. This was 2016. You see, from 2016 the market started going back up again. So anybody who followed 61.8 could have entered at this price, and the prices moved up. Now let's see what happened after that. So this is 2016 here. Okay, this is the price where the market started moving back up. Same theory again. You identify a trend. So now somebody is bought it at the bottom. Let's forget about who has bought it. Let's say you're just looking at the chart. Market goes up. There was a small dip over here, so we expected it to drop back down. It did not happen, so we did not do anything over here. You see again, then you see a big drop coming in, and this is when I understand this was the leg and this is the head, and the trend has currently finished, and it is going on a downtrend. So if you see, it came down again to a certain point before it bounced back up. And that certain point, if you look at the Fibonacci, again drawing your Fibonacci from your leg to your head, you see it came back to 61.8. Someone's asked me, why is the lower wick being discounted while drawing? I am guessing you're talking about this. In this case, we look at mainly towards where the trend begins from. It is not wrong for you to start the Fibonacci right from the bottom, but the Fibonacci plays more when there is a momentum that has picked up. This also could be a very consolidation level, but you see this is a very obvious momentum that picked up from here, and hence we have started Fibonacci. This as consider this as the lower point and this as the higher point. But again, you can still consider the lower point also, but where the momentum begins, that is more accurate because that shows you the momentum, and this shows you where the momentum has ended. Should we draw different Fibonacci for different trade styles like hourly, monthly, weekly? Yes, and I will be showing you that as well. I'm just showing you on a monthly chart because it's more cleaner on the chart. If you go into a smaller time frame, you will have multiple entries and exits, so it will become more confusing, especially for people who are very new. But I will show you a couple of examples even on a 30-minute or even on a 5-minute chart. Now coming to this again, 61.8 prices bounced back up. Now this was the last one that happened in 2020. There was a drop, 61.8 prices jump back up, and I will show you this on the live chart as to what is happening right now. This is just based on the previous data. Now before we go to the live chart, there is something that you all would be more interested in, but I don't think we will be having enough time to cover this. But let me finish the theory part of how this works. Once you understand how to draw Fibonacci, you will also identify certain patterns that the Fibonacci keeps forming. Okay, those are known as the harmonic patterns. Basically, harmonic price patterns like geometric price patterns to take geometric price patterns to the next level by using Fibonacci numbers to define precise turning points. So what harmonic patterns does is first, for a harmonic pattern to form, it takes a lot of time, and once it forms all the levels that we expect it to form, and it is as accurate as possible on each of these levels, then the turning points in the market is going to become more probable. I will show you a couple of examples in the next slide. So in short, what does harmonic help us with? According to Gartley, he was finally able to solve two of the biggest problems for traders: what and when to buy or sell. Okay, so basically, in other words, when do you enter, when do you exit? Exit again can be on the profitable side, exit also can be on a loss side. Not every trade is going to be a profitable one, and hence we need risk management, irrespective of how confident we can be with the trade, irrespective of, let's say it worked the last 100 times and has never failed. That does not mean 101st time is not going to fail as well. So every trade or every strategy needs to have a stop loss or a risk management every trade in every investment decision that we make. Now coming to the harmonic pattern. Based on the name of the person who identified this pattern, Mr. Gartley, he identified bullish Gartley and a bearish Gartley. I will explain how this works. So let's say the market rallied up, like the one that we saw on Apple. Market went up and it has formed the leg and the head. And from there, the market has dropped. So when you measure this, when the market drops, it has to drop exactly to 61.8 before it bounces back up. So if that happens, then X, A, and B has been formed. Then on A and B, when it goes back up, it has to go back up between 88.6 and 38.6 on the measurement between A and B. If this also happens, then we have X, A, B, C. And from C, it has B to C, it has to come down to 161.8. I will try and show this on the live chart as well. Don't worry about how these numbers have come into place because we've only discussed 61.8. Now, there apart from 61.8, there are a few other numbers as well. But for today's lesson, we'll just stick to 61.8. But in harmonic patterns, if all of these numbers match, the probability of this trade going up becomes very highly probable. And if you also look at the length of this upside and the stop loss that you'll be putting on this, the risk reward is going to be really amazing. I'll try and show one or two examples on how to trade on a harmonic. But once you are comfortable with drawing Fibonacci, this is the next level that we have to get into, and these will give you good risk reward trades as well as the trades take time to form, but once it forms, the probability again becomes very high. We have sorry, yeah. So apart from Gartley, we have other patterns depending on the percentages of here if you see instead of 61.8, it's between 38.2 and 50%. And there are many other patterns. There are also butterfly pattern, there is scrap pattern, but we'll not get into all of those patterns. Now let's jump to the live chart and see how we can implement whatever I've just taught you. First one was the ATR, which will help us identify how many dollars a particular instrument can move. Second, we learned is 61.8 and why 61.8 could be a good entry level. And the third we learned is the harmonic patterns. So let's do the ATR and Fibonacci first, and we'll also try and cover the harmonic pattern. Let me just share my screen with the chart. Okay, I hope all of you are able to see my charts. If yes, please let me know. I'm guessing everyone can see the charts. All right. Okay. So let's start with Apple itself since I had shown you Apple. I'll try to zoom in as much as possible so it's, yeah. So once you go to your draw tools, for those of you who are using this platform for the very first time, this is the chart. You can change your time frame over here. Right. Currently, I'm looking at a monthly time frame, meaning each of these candlesticks represents 1 month. So each of these candlesticks represent 1 month. So in a year, you can see 2014 to 15, there will be 12 candlesticks. There will be 12 candlesticks because I'm looking at a monthly time frame. Now, of course, I can go back in years. I can zoom into what I want. In this case, I'm just zooming into this particular region between 2014 to 15. And you have all your tools at the bottom. For now, we're going to be looking at the drawing tools, draw tools, and you get Fibonacci here. Now, Fibonacci by default has the numbers. So, like I mentioned to you, how do you draw a Fibonacci? First, you identify bottom, the leg, and you identify a head. Let's say in this in the later case, there will probably there's no head formed. I will show you how to wait for us to draw the Fibonacci. In this case, it started off pretty much here and it goes up till here. Let me try and make the font bigger, so I think that would be easier for you to view as well. I will also remove all the other Fibonacci numbers. We do not need it right now. The calculations to get those numbers as well are quite simple. It's not very complicated. I'm going to keep this as default. So you see, market came down somewhere close to 61.8, bounces back up. I think some of you all have asked me if you can use Fibonacci on other instruments. Yes, you can. We'll try and do it on also on the other instruments. It does not necessarily have to be only stocks. It can be on commodities. It can be on currencies. It can be on indices. Now this was the next rally. So again, I'll be taking my Fibonacci top to bottom. My rally began from this particular candlestick. You see prices dropped to this level, bounced back up, and you see that comes to 61.8. Let me close this. Here in this case, the rally was quite quick over here, although it's a red candle. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So bottom, top, 61.8. Even if you take from, let's say, from where the momentum began, the price pretty much reversed from the 61.8 region. Now, most of you would be asking, but what about today? Today is more crucial because all of these price movement that happened has happened already. What do I do today? Now, today I see the momentum picked up from this particular candle, to be very specific. Market went up. It has not dropped yet. So in this case, I'm not going to finalize saying that this could be the top. It could go up further, or maybe it could go up even further. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye out on Apple. Yeah, sorry. I'm going to keep an eye out on Apple to see when it starts dropping back down. Let's say, for the sake of example, Apple goes up maybe from here. It goes up maybe till here, and then it drops. Okay, then it starts dropping. So in this case, what I would do is I will not use my Fibonacci. Okay, so let's assume the prices in the future could go up till here and then start dropping. Once the price starts coming down somewhere here, basically this was my uptrend. Let me draw the uptrend. This was my uptrend from here to here. Okay, once this uptrend has broken and it starts coming down, this is where I'm going to start my Fibonacci. I mean, this is where I'm going to use my Fibonacci to find out, okay, till what price should I wait for me to buy back into Apple. So in this case, it shows when Apple comes back somewhere close to 102 is a good level to take. Someone's also asked me, can we take an example of another share or a commodity? Of course. Why don't I think we can also you can put in your own stocks or commodity that you want to see. In this case, let me choose gold in the meanwhile. Okay, that's Apple again. Gold, right? So I'm taking gold monthly chart. Now we can see there's a lot of momentum that has happened, but it's not as much as a stock because gold is quite stable, or it stays in a range for quite a long time. Let's do Fibonacci on gold. I see there was a rally from here to here. It came down, but in this case, it did not come to 61.8. Hence, if you're using the 61.8 rule, nobody would have entered gold at this price. After this, again, you see gold rallying from this point to this point. So in this case, it came down till 61.8 and you enter a buy over here, market short up. Now let's look at the next rally. From this point, gold had gone all the way up till here. That was a huge rally. And again, when the drop began, it comes to 61.8 and bounces back up. As of today, gold has rallied all the way from here to this level. In this case, gold, please bear in mind, I'm looking at a monthly chart. So all of this price action won't happen very quickly. I will show similar examples on a 30-minute chart as well. So in this case, this has been an uptrend, a very steep uptrend. In fact, if I look at the trend over here, the trend has kind of broken. So if at all, I'm a very long-term investor, I would rather buy gold when it comes down to this price, rather than buying right now. But then if you're a short-term investor, you will have opportunities on a shorter time frame, like let's say when you look at a 30-minute chart. So you will see a lot of Fibonacci happening here. We'll get back into it. Any other commodity or any other stocks that you all want me to check on? I can do that for you. I think someone has. Is it also true for a sell trade? Yes. So right now I'm not getting onto a short position because I don't think many people would understand shorting the markets. But yes, if you understand how shorting works, the same logic appears. Instead of measuring from down to top, you'll be measuring from top to bottom. Let's say in this case, will be measuring top to bottom. So in this case, it has breached 61.8. But if you look at other time frames or a few other stocks might give you an opportunity. But I'll also tell you how Cardano. Okay, one thing that we need to understand is Bitcoin and especially cryptocurrencies are more speculative. Basically, they do not have any solid fundamentals behind it. But however, technical should still work, but it's going to be very volatile. But since you've asked for Cardano, let's check out Cardano together. Monthly pretty much has not given any kind of dip at all. Even on a weekly, there is a very small, this one on a weekly, if you see the momentum began somewhere from here to here. In this case, it has come down all the way till 61.8, roughly at least. So it is kind of taking support over here. Let's look at a smaller time frame, maybe a 4 hour time frame. Okay, now a 4 hour, I think there's a lot of ins and out. Let's look at this specific rally over here. A huge spike before the market dropped. It came down roughly, I think it breached 61.8. However, it has bounced back up from there. Let's look at this next rally over here. This was the next rally. Spiked up. The uptrend was ended. It came down 61.8, bounced back up. Next rally is over here. Spiked up, trend ended. It went back up a little bit, but eventually it has dropped back down again. So there were a couple of opportunities over here. People who are looking at top to bottom, prices bounced up to 61.8 and has dropped. So it's very important to identify a trend when you're taking trades. But pretty much the idea remains the same. You need to identify the trend, measure the trend, and then enter. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of this particular trade? Let's take Apple itself, since it's much more cleaner chart, easy for everyone to understand. Let's look at our current trade. Or let me try and do this on a smaller time frame so it's easy. Nasdaq. Okay, so we have Nasdaq. Oh, sorry, this is US 30. Let's just do it on US 30. Not recommended to trade at all on US 30 because it's very volatile. Let's try and do a very small time frame. All right. So now in this case, we are looking at the market on a downtrend, and it has broken the downtrend and it is trying to make an uptrend. So what we would do in this scenario is measure the downside. So I'm measuring top to bottom. So in this case, you see it has gone back to 61.8 and it has started dropping back down. So if you look at earlier trends, let's look at this trend has failed. So basically it went up. It came back to 61.8. We would have taken a buy over here, but then this has breached 61.8 and there would have been a stop loss on this. But the probability of every trade, now this was an uptrend over here. It came back down, you took a buy, this went up, so it was a profitable trade there. So the smaller the time frame you go, the more waves you get. So the more waves, the more the noise, and the more the noise, the more chances of entries and exit, but there are also more chances of it breaking down. Because what happens on a shorter time frame, especially a 5 minute time frame, every single news that comes out into the market is very sensitive, and we are trying to take a trade in a very small range. So there are chances of it going beyond 61.8, but again, even on a small time frame, you would see, like, let's say this was one huge rally before market started going sideways. At least in this case, you see every time it came down to 61.8, it bounced back up. So if someone had to just keep taking buy on this, they would still be making a good amount of money because it was supported by a significant rally. There is another wave here that we see. Let's look at this wave. In this case, it has breached 61.8. I think in this case, stop loss also would have triggered, but ideally it will give us a good entry point. Now, how do we use a stop loss and take profit on these? That is more crucial. Let's take an example on Apple, since we are not getting any entries right now. Let's say we were looking at this particular trade. This was 2020, last year's pandemic drop. Okay. Now, remember the first point that I had told, when we look at technicals, or people who look at specifically trading on technicals, they discount fundamentals. Fundamentals are basically what is happening in the market, why has the market dropped, the news that is driving the market down. Now, all of these will contradict your technicals. I will give you an example on this trade itself. Let's say Apple pretty much rallied and started dropping over here. I'll make this into a weekly chart so it's more easier to. Perfect. Now the weekly chart will give you a much better picture over here. Now we see Apple gave a good rally and then it started dropping because of the pandemic news. This entire drop that you see over here had nothing to do with Apple. It was all to do with the pandemic. Okay. Now let's assume we do not know what is happening in the world. We are purely technical traders, and we want to enter on every opportunity that we get based on a technical signal. In this case, we are using Fibonacci. Every time we get a trade on 61.8, I'm going to take a buy irrespective of what is happening in the market. So what happens is, over here, ideally people will be getting scared to buy because of the pandemic, markets are crashing. Now if anybody comes up to you and say let's start buying right now, it would not make sense, because every headline that you're reading, every news article that you're reading will only be talking about a recession that is going to come, something that is going to go out of hand, something that might not be in control. Now what happens as an investor, taking a buy over here would not be very easy, because fundamentals or the news is not giving them that peace of mind to take the trade. But let's say if you were trading purely on technical basis, you will still take a buy because you're a technical trader. You're basing your trades purely on technicals. You understand Apple is a good company. Now let's not try and use this on a company which has been listed yesterday. What happens is the company also needs to prove that it is a strong company, it will come back. Now when we apply the same formula on a cryptocurrencies, that's why I said cryptos are dangerous, because it's more speculative. Speculative meaning tomorrow, if the regulations are against cryptocurrencies, you will see crypto market crash by 50, 60, even 70%. Let's say if regulations are looking in favor of cryptocurrencies, maybe you might see cryptos rallying up by 100, 200, 300, 400%. Purely speculative based on whatever is going to happen. Now, if you take a technical trade based on that, you should have a stop loss no matter what. And second is because of the noise in a instrument that is not very does not have a very solid foundation, there might be chances that most of the trades will only keep triggering stop loss more than triggering take profit. But on the other hand, let's say if I take a company like Apple, now Apple is quite stable. Yes, although Apple has given decent drops in the past, those drops have become only an opportunity rather than being scared to enter. And hence, I'm showing you Apple as an example. Now, okay, coming to the entry point, we understand, okay, market drop. The actual reason for the market drop is pandemic, but we are discounting the news. We are not looking at the news. We are looking at purely technical view. It has come to 61.8 and I want to take a buy. So I will just do a simulation here itself. Okay, so if you can see, let's say the blue line that you can see over here, which I'm moving, is my entry point, and my entry point is going to be on 61.8. Now, take profit and stop loss. We'll come back to take profit later, but stop loss is more important than take profit. So I'm just going to leave stop loss out. Sorry, take profit out. Now, let's say I have $10,000 in my account. The market has dropped quite well. I want to take a trade. Let's say I want to buy Apple worth only $10,000. Now, in this case, if the market continues dropping, you can see the loss over here increasing. If the market continues dropping, this is the loss that you're going to make. Okay. So how do I decide where to keep my stop loss? Now in Fibonacci, the few of the numbers that I removed is going to be placed back. One is 78.6. 78.6 is quite simple. So basically 78.6 is square root of 61.8. Okay, if you put 61.8 and do square root, you will get 78.6. If you can see 78.6, I've selected that. And there is also 88.6. I'm going to select that as well. Okay, so I'm taken 78.6. 88.6 again is square root of 78.6. Default done. Okay, now I have, let me push my stop loss down. Now you see below 61.8 is 78.6 and 88.6. Now what, there are 2-3 different logics that people use Fibonacci and do it with. One is they will keep a stop loss right below this leg, below the 100%. Okay, and instead of entering 10,000 right now, what they will do is they will enter only $5,000. $5,000. So in this case, even if the market continues dropping, their stop loss will not trigger because they've given enough of room, and probably they will buy again at 88.6. So the chances of their average price being better when they buy at lower prices becomes higher. They get a good better price to buy into the market. Now let's just keep the trade very simple. If I take a trade at 61.8, I'm going to keep a stop loss at 78.6. Whether I like it or not, this is going to be the rule. Every trade that I take on 61.8, I'm going to keep it at 78.6. Now, in this case, what happens is I can take a bigger position. Let's say I don't mind taking a $10,000 position. Okay, so my loss is going to be about $1,500. So on a $10,000, 15% risk. Now, how do I know where to keep my take profit? That is one more important thing that we need to know. When you have to keep a take profit, now we understood our entry point, we understood our stop loss. I'm going to close Fibonacci now. Now we got our entry point, we got a stop loss. Your take profit is always going to be, you measure top to bottom, your bottom is your entry point, and you will get 61.8 on the higher end. Now let's put my take profit on the higher end. So if you look at it, your risk reward, you risked $1,500 to make $3,000. Now your risk reward is amazing because you're risking 1:2. So you're risking 1,500, you're making double of what you're risking. And if you keep the same discipline, even if one or two in the bargain gets hit stop loss, because your risk reward is going to remain this, and because you have a trading discipline that you're following, the chances of you being profitable and making good profits becomes higher than making losses, because your losses are always limited, whereas your take profit is always double of your stop losses. So meaning two stop losses needs to trigger to take out one of your take profit. And second advantage it has is, once you put your take profit and once you put your stop loss, you do not need to look at the charts anymore. You do not need to get swayed by the news and the markets and all the moment. Your logic is clear, your entry point, your stop loss, take profit has been set. You can move on to finding your next instrument to trade in. And that is where Fibonacci helps a trader to be very disciplined, and also at the end of the day make profits by diversifying. Apple is just one instrument. We have a lot of other instruments which will keep giving you opportunities, and it is best to diversify in most of them. You don't have to put your entire $10,000 in Apple. You can split that up by maybe putting only $2,000 investment. So in this case, you will make $600 profit with a risk of $300, and you can find 10 other instruments, or you can find another five other instruments to take a trade based on Fibonacci. Now, this is one of the way where Fibonacci traders use Fibonacci to trade. Now, second way to do it is, now I think most of you all have understood how to draw Fibonacci, how to enter on Fibonacci. Now we also see one more thing I had missed out earlier. I'm sorry. I wanted to show you all this before I went on to the trade. Let's look at the normal movement. If you can look at all the drops that has happened. So this is a drop here. This was in 2012. It dropped about 46%. This was 2015, dropped about 33%. This was a drop roughly around 38%, or I think 40%, 39%. And this was last year's pandemic drop, which was again around 35%. Okay. Now, you all can again use the chat to respond back to me. What common thing did you all find or did you notice in all of these drops? One thing we knew is every time it dropped, it came down to 61.8% and bounced back up. So now we have one good solid entry point. But if I'm looking at the percentage of drops, it has dropped by 39%, 33%, 35% during a session, about 46%. What can you all see anything that is common over here? If anyone can, if you all see anything common, please do a message. If you don't, it's fine, no problem. I'm either way is going to be showing. Anything will take about 20 seconds for you all to answer. Anything common that you see, or anything which is very obvious that you can see in all of these drops? Just the drops. All right. So the common thing, not over 30. Okay. Not over 30. I'm guessing you're talking about the percentage, Daniel, but yes, the common thing is you see every time Apple has actually given a drop, it drops somewhere between 35%, or sorry, 33% to 46%. They're trapped toward the end. Okay. So what you see is every time it drops roughly about 33% to 46%. Now you see the average is somewhere close to 30 to 35%. Now this 46% and 50% drop usually happens during the recession period. Okay, but on a normal correction, or when the market is correcting itself because of pandemic or any other correction, at least for Apple, we know it corrects itself by 33%. Now, let's assume, again, just an assumption, that maybe Apple has made its all time high. Maybe now the market could start correcting. So, what happens is, let's say, I'm assuming that the market is going to drop, not that it is going to, but if it does, I want to know where should I be entering. So, I'm going to keep somewhere between 35 to 45. So, on an average, about 35% drop. Okay, now we understand it can, if the market corrects itself. Now there are a lot of factors it could also, if the economy is picking up now again, the delta variant is kind of spooking the markets. On the other hand, let's say if the vaccine actually works well, and the COVID scenario is taken care of, what is going to happen is the FOMC, the Fed, they've been pumping a lot of dollars into the US economy to keep the economy floating. Eventually, they cannot keep forever pumping in money into the economy. They have to start unwinding what they've pumped into the economy. So when they start doing that, that is where we'll see market correct as well. So either that is going to be a trigger for the market to correct itself, or the delta variant could again spook the market like last year, where we could see the market correct itself. But at this point of time, everything is going smooth, because one side, the vaccination is kind of helping everybody out there in the world. On the other hand, the Fed or the US government is still pumping money into the economy to keep the market going. So either ways, it is somewhat to an extent protected. So the chances of market drop of 35% could happen only if one of these things go out of hand. Now let's assume it does for whatever reason and starts dropping. I am expecting, based on the previous drops, for the Apple price to come down by 35%. Now, if I draw my Fibonacci here, or rather from where the momentum began, I'll just keep it out so it's more easier to see. Now, if you see in this case, 61.8 also is coming down somewhere close to 33%. Let's say if the market goes up further and then drops. Okay, so a drop from all the way from here. I'm just assuming instead of dropping, it continues going up for a couple more months or another 2 quarters before it drops. And wherever it drops from, again, if I measure about 35 to 36%, again comes down to 61%. Now, here our logic becomes very, very clear. Now that we know Apple gives this, so technical analysis is done based on the previous historical behavior of a particular instrument. Now we can see the behavior of Apple is either we use Fibonacci, or we just generally see how much percentage Apple drops by. Both kind of fits in based on how it has been performing previously. Few other things that you can add to Apple is a very strong company. Every fund manager who holds a tech portfolio at least has good exposure into Apple, because Apple again is a much more stable company, and it also has a very good scope for the next couple of years, or probably next decade as well. So as long as Apple is a strong company, every time it drops by 35%, not just me, not just you, the entire world is looking for that opportunity to jump back into Apple, and hence the prices always bounce back up. So I think I have a few more comments. Let me try and answer that. What assets perform well historically during market drops? Uh, I'll need you to be a little more specific. What assets perform during market drops? If you're saying if the market is dropping, the bond markets usually generally perform well because everyone goes into bond, or gold tends to go up because everyone jumps into safe haven. But if your question is what assets are good when the market drops, what assets are best to buy? Always technology, because technology kind of is the trend going forward as well, and it is not going to end. So every time you see the technology sector, especially Nasdaq or the QQQ, the fund, when it is down by a good 8 to 12%, it is always a very good opportunity to enter. But however, bear in mind, if scenarios like a pandemic or a recession does come in, you could see the market dropping down more than those percentage. But then it is always good to know what kind of scenario are we in before we enter the market. During a pandemic, if we see the market come down by 35%, then it is still a good opportunity because we know recession is about 50%. So we are almost catching the price at the bottom. So how do we predict up to what point the graph will go based on side set factors? I'm sorry, I don't think I understand the question. How to draw harmonics on the chart? Very simple. We are running out of time, but I'll show you how we can draw a harmonic. As of now, there has not been any harmonic that has come up recently because the market has just been in one direction. If you look at S&P 500, that is again our top 500 companies of US, I'll try and find a harmonic from the past. Okay, this was a harmonic that was formed in the past over here. Okay, so basically I will just draw how it looks so that it's easy to understand. So basically a harmonic pattern pretty much looks like this. It looks like a butterfly. All right, now as per the harmonic pattern, certain condition needs to be met. So when you measure top to bottom in this case, because the market dropped, you see it came to 61.8. Here, if you see it came to 61.8. So X, A, and B has been formed. From 61.8, it has to come somewhere between 88.6 and 38.2. In this case, it has come down till 78.6. So again, this has formed exactly on the harmonic pattern. So we have one pattern that formed here, the other pattern that formed here. Now D. D usually is at 161.8. Default done. Okay, so we have X. This is X. We have A. So when we measured X and A, we got B, which came at 61.8. When we measured A and B, we got C, which was measured at 78.6. When I measure B and C, I'm getting my D point. This is my final point. Okay, so now all of these, once they tag exactly on the line, is when we know the harmonic pattern has been completed. So in this case, the harmonic pattern, sorry, I'm just roughly drawing this, got completed over here. So once your pattern is complete, the probability of the trade going or the price changing, that's what we learned on the Fibonacci harmonic, the probability of the price or the trend changing is higher. So in this case, if you see, the Fibonacci finished exactly at 61.8, or rather 161.8 in this case, and dropped back down. So this would have been a very good trade. Effectively, it dropped roughly around 4%. Your stop loss would have been hardly 0.5%. So you risked 0.5% to make 4%. Right. I'm sorry, I have a lot more questions that is coming in. Since we are running out of time, what we'll do is please do get in touch with us directly. You can call your relationship manager. You can always set up a one-on-one meeting with us so that we can answer all the questions that you have, and we can go more in depth. And with the time frame that we had for today, I tried to fit in as much as possible. I'm glad that we also covered harmonic during this session itself. But then, of course, it is going to be a little complex because it's the first time that most of you might be doing it. Do not worry, it is very simple. It takes a little bit of practice, and you should be able to identify most of this on your own. And we would love to help you and equip you more with the knowledge that you would require. I hope you guys enjoyed this session, and I hope I was clear, and I hope I was able to make you all understand how Fibonacci works and how to identify entries and exits. Please do give us your review on Google, as well as please do write your feedback on this chat. It'll really help me probably come up with a better plan to explain in the future. So your feedback would be much appreciated. Thank you all. You all have a good day and hope to see you all again in the next session. Take care.